There's all, yeah, and there's one other point. It's been brought to my attention, it's been brought to my attention that there's a Democratic candidate that is their candidate. What's his name? Shimodi? Accurate?
Mike Shimodi.
Is that accurate? That's basically okay.
That is
so-
accurate. They have cards with his name and Clee and Kelly. It says vote. Mike Shimodi, Clee, and Kelly.
Cards, does anybody have cards made up for the candidates?
Yes, we all have them out here if you want to pick them up on your way out.
But palm cards as to who to vote for.
I have my palm
We're
cards.
allowed to take them in if we're writing in. You may take any of your cards because accuracy is important with the spelling. If you misspell their name, they'll throw it out. So you have to have it spelled exactly as it appears. So I'm not good at that either. I'm gonna take mine right along in that I plan to write in, just to make sure I have them accurate.
My thoughts were that we have a palm card, okay, that shows the Democrats and Republicans as to basically who should be voted for in order for some degree of integrity in this borough, and ensuring the fact that the mindset that exists currently is eliminated, that those three candidates don't get in. And the only way to ensure that, and it would be nice to have that palm card for both Democrat and Republican, and on that palm card, including the write-ins, okay, to have that passed out along with the this letter. I hope that this letter gets people to really understand that there's a change that's absolutely positively necessary.
There will be 2 new council members regardless, even if the incumbents all win. So if we can get at least some dissenting voices from the lockstep voting.
One of those 3 people will constitute a majority in council. You 3 people can argue till you're blue in the face, okay? They're gonna still go along with their agenda, and their agenda is in lockstep. And that's just a long and short of it.
It only takes 4 to 30 people to vote. That's it. To get a yes vote. 4 council members.
Majority will rule.
Out of 7.
The majority will rule. Period.
So it only takes 4 of them out of the 7 to get a yes vote.
Correct. That's why
Right.
none of those 3 can get in, or they'll just go ahead and run roughside over the 3 new people.
Yeah. Joanne's trying to guess.
Yes, Joanne.
I have a comment to make about he's putting these, the yellow letters in.
Yes.
It's against federal law to put something like that.
In the mailbox.
In the mailbox.
Yes.
You put them on
We don't
windshield.
want, we don't want to get down to the borough limits, you know, down to the borough level where we do something that's illegal. You know, put it in, between the 2 doors or under something like that, you know. Because I went in to her neighbor across the street, my daughter works for the post office, she said, Mom, she said, what do you want to put it over in Maggie's mailbox? She said, you know, you can get arrested for that. I said, what?
Good point. Good point. One important piece of business. I certainly want to thank Kate Neely, who served as our secretary. She's totally involved in both her schoolwork now, as well as her job. And I know what it's like to work full-time and go to school full-time. And I know it's a challenge. That's how I got my degrees, and if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. So I wish you the very best in that regard, Kate. But we need a secretary. Does anybody want to volunteer to be secretary to the CCCA? There being none, you'll have to put up with my notes. You'll have to put up with my notes then. But the fact remains is we would like to have that position filled. And the other thing is a matter of business. We need to vote on the minutes from last meeting. Does anybody want to make a motion for approval?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Fran Resch,
A second.
Second,
Third.
third, fourth, okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, so ordered. The minutes are approved. Refer to them as you feel so inclined. And anything now for the good of the association.
Norm,
Yes.
you had talked about in the lawsuit about the judge favoring us on the stay. Could you explain to these people what the stay was?
Okay, a stay is nothing more than postponement of all the proceedings. Okay, and the length of the stay is really up to the judge, but certainly the person requesting the stay will identify a time frame. Okay, in this case, the judge says no way. He denied the stay, and that's why I said, quite honestly, I thought things would be moving at a fast pace. At this point in time, he has not scheduled a hearing on the injunction, the temporary injunction. That is important that we get that in place so that $800,000 don't go by, and the deficit for this year going up more than the $1.28 billion that they already have planned. So that basically is a stay. So ultimately, I mean, it was the first win for us. But we hope to have a clean slate of wins. Temporary injunction, the complaint, and of course the permanent injunction. So, and then hopefully some orders of reversal of certain actions. And it's going to be up to the elected officials now to reverse that tax increase. You people that are elected, I hope that is first and foremost on your agenda is
First order of business.
is to get the taxpayers made whole. Yes, ma'am.
What,
If you want to use the microphone, you're welcome.
no, what, if any, is the possibility of getting something like this communicated in the merchandiser? Have you looked down that avenue? to reach
They will
people?
not deal with anything.
Not at all, not at all.
Yeah, not
Yes.
at all. Not,
Not
okay,
Yeah.
not even as CCA.
Yeah, you would think.
It's on the sites.
Is
Yeah.
it?
I'm asking you, is
They
it?
just recently sent out a brochure though, listing all their political pricing. I got
Yes,
the
they
mail
did.
for merchandiser. Did
Oh,
anybody
yeah,
see it?
Please.
political advertisers vote for me.
Thank you.
I think they're into that. I think they're into that. No harm in
You write this letter
approaching.
to the editor of Lancaster newspaper.
But that-
Some roundabout way we can get something. And
Yeah,
just,
that's-
you know, website exclusive.
Okay, I know it'll be on Columbia News and Reviews.com, it'll be on the ColumbiaSpy.com.
It'll be on Farm Fresh Media.
We'll get it out
Okay.
to the media as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Remind me, because I've been trying to follow all this political mix. What are the repercussions for the beneficiaries of the revolving loan fund? Should this turn in our direction?
The beneficiaries,
The gentleman who took the money,
yeah,
how will
we
he be
don't-
held accountable?
we don't know what the judge is going to do in basically reversing the poison fruit. He can, I mean, he can order it to be paid back. He can order the council people to pay it back. Of course, they have E&O insurance, the heirs of the mission. So the bottom line is, the taxpayers are paying for everything. The taxpayers are paying for their attorney's fees. They're like, I sent them a letter. You probably read the letter. I think it's February 4th. Why are you giving us a triple whammy? You gave us 21.2% tax increase. Now, you've passed all this unlawful legislation, unconstitutional legislation, that we're going to be fighting because you failed to basically reverse it yourself, which they're totally capable of doing. There's absolutely nothing, okay, in the code. Matter of fact, the code says that they can repeal that ordinance through the legal filing, publication, and vote on it, and it's done, it's reversed. And they can change the budget at any time. They don't even advertise that, they can do that at a meeting. So it's easy to reverse their wrongs, but they choose not to.
Right.
So while they're calling all their legal people together to fight this, we're paying for it. So it's a triple whammy, folks.
It's a lot more than a triple whammy to me. I
No.
live next to one of those properties.
And
one of
God bless.
One of his invitees just drove into my house last week.
Oh, jeez.
And the gentleman who chose to speak up for him today.
Joe
Unofficially on
Joe
the
cleared
payroll.
Don's name here today.
Yeah.
Make sure you understand that.
Yeah.
That's what we try to do.
Well, my question would be, who's
He
looking
should
into people, like, if we give money to these people, like a bank has a loan officer, who's looking into these people and saying, you're the guy we want to give the money to? He just said he's worked closely with Don for umpteen years.
Yeah.
Right.
Is he on Don's payroll?
Yes.
Yes.
Nah, under the table kind of stuff.
You're right.
we're not serving our
I don't know if he's a
benefits.
missing employee, but that,
Tell us
okay. This gentleman that was here, when Rose Weaver was going to run for election and she spoke out against these actions and the like, she had a lease agreement with Don across the street. This gentleman showed up and says, "You're done." Well, I paid for the lease and all that. "You're done. Your lease is canceled. Remove your cars." We had Jim Stover. Jim Stover agreed to let us fundraise and membership drive and all that. Right during the setup, he walks in, threatens Jim with the loss of his parking spaces, Hinkles, and Jim had to back out. We're up at Eric White's property here in the corner of Locust and Fifth Street. Who shows up? Joe. There's a clothing container there. He was sitting there while the fundraising and the signing of petition, etc., putting one piece of clothing in at a time. I don't know who thinks he's intimidating, but the fact remains is that's the kind of shit that's going on.
He's even out of.
Where I did,
Like them or leave them. Who are the people that are allowing it to happen? If Don sticks his hand out, somebody's gonna give him money, he's gonna take it. I don't know whether that's right or wrong. Not my business. Who are the people who are allowing that to happen?
Council.
I
There you
think,
go.
And trust me, if they
So let's
stick
not
their
make
hand
an
out to me,
argument
it'll
about
get
Don
shot.
Murphy and the developer and what he's doing. If he's doing good things for the community, so be it. Do it with his money.
Hands right, not
amen.
ours.
That's right.
The last council meeting I went to, I got out of my car and he attacked me.
Yeah, that's
On those
right.
streets.
I just,
And,
Yes.
and I walked up to him and he was saying, "Who are you to judge Don Murphy? He pays $80,000 a year in taxes." And he said, "How much money do you pay in taxes?" I said, whoa. I calmed him down. I said, "Listen, I want to tell you something." I said, "He may pay $80,000 in taxes." I said, "But why is he on the list that he owes taxes?"
Exactly.
I said, "What good is that doing the borough when you owe $80,000 taxes?" I said, and number two is, I said, I don't care if Don Murphy, I don't care if he buys every house in Columbia and fixes them up. I said, number one, I don't want him using my tax money. I said, number two, I said, he not only borrowed the $250,000, but I said, he just borrowed $3 million more dollars. Plus he owes back taxes. Did he pay the borough off? No, he didn't. He didn't pay the $250,000. My daughter-in-law works for a bank. And Sharon said about, he only paid $3,600 back on this loan. She said his payment should have been around $4,000 a month on that money.
Well, who else is asking for these type of loans? And why is it this is the only person that it's working with? It's with one person.
No,
So I've been here in Columbia for 25 years doing the same thing, probably to a much better degree by myself. I've never gotten shit from Columbia Borough.
I'm told that there have been a number of individuals that have gotten individual loans. I'm told that now. but we'll see what kind of response I get from the public records request.
Well, then you got told different than me. I was told that there was only ever one other person that applied and no other money was given.
No,
There's a
but,
couple.
For the big money, okay, it was
Yeah.
the two brothers, okay, it has the hole in the ground down there on Oak Street. The
Which
zero-
they failed
the
is
zero
not
100.
currently getting into.
They sat down at the settlement table, okay, for that loan. It was $450,000. And because their other financial backers backed out, that loan did not close. But they applied for it and they were about ready to get it. But they had to disclose the fact that some of their other investors fell through.
Let me just leave it here. I'll make this quick. Sorry, I'm not feeling real good today. I got a letter from Columbia Borough with my, regarding rental properties and this stuff, and there was a clause in there that notes that as of January 1st this past year, yet another ordinance was passed, which I missed on these meetings and stuff. I never see this stuff. But in regards to lead paint, we've been going this direction for many, many years. I did it in Baltimore for 20 years. The bottom line is, though, it's the borough that's in charge of this apparently, and they're going to start making landlords and I don't know about homeowners, but rental properties and such, they're going to go down the lead paint certification avenue, which is great. It's a smart thing to do depending on how it's run. But the bottom line is, it states right there that you will comply, you have 60 days, and there will be no, yes, exactly. Exactly, and you will be fined, just like the Knox box, $500 per, and so on and so forth. Like I said, how are people even allowed to make these ordinances? And how does it go without anybody seeing it? Just arrived in the mail
Because they
one
talk
day.
about it behind the scenes
That's my
beforehand,
point.
which is illegal.
Is that where it is, or did I
That's
miss it?
illegal.
No, it must be advertised in
It's supposed to
newspaper
be a
general
public
circulation.
Okay, can anybody provide, not right this minute, but can anybody provide for me at any point where it said we were going down this avenue for Columbia? Because it was passed January 1st this year.
We'd have to go back and look at last
They
year's
did it in the
minutes.
ordinance. Their legislative committee worked on that for months. I don't agree with it, but I'm not up here. I could voice my opinion, and I still don't agree with it, because you can't prove to me that that is what caused that child's problem. All the drugs out there.
Even that aside, here's where I'm going with it. I did this in Baltimore for 25 years with lead abatement, asbestos, all this kind of stuff. It means that you can walk into a property that's been completely abated and move a window sash and you're still going to find lead. If you decide you don't like that person, you now have an avenue to harass them endless. It's not about safety, children, any of the above. It's just like the Knox boxes. It's another reason, Fourth Amendment rights, to harass people, to make more fines, to make more inspections, so on and so forth. I'm done, sorry.
Now, the bottom line is,
Hold on.
if and this 60-day bullshit and all that, you have due process rights. If you are cited, you have the ability, okay, to contest it. But, and I even complained, the cost, I think they're up to $600 now that you have to put up in order to contest
To
a
contest it, yes.
citation.
Absolutely.
$600. That's ludicrous.
Hey,
Well, most people would go.
can we back up a little bit? When you were talking about Don Murphy
Yes.
and Joe Dietz, I attended a school board meeting, and this is fact. Don Murphy, his wife, and his people was there to get this 10-year abatement program through. It's how he done it. So I commented on it. So I had to leave early. When I was done commenting, I left. Him and his wife followed me out the door. They cursed me up one side and down the other. You wouldn't believe what come out of his wife's mouth. I walked down the
Oh, you
street,
would
I
think that.
let it
You
go
wouldn't be surprised.
until I got to have a paper sent to him. Joe Dietz did the same thing to me at Stover's. So Dave Mount sent the same letter to both of them. Terrible, terrible. And he made sure nobody was out there to hear what they were saying.
Right.
So why array of outcomes from a judge on the repercussions for Murphy? I know he's got to be scared to walk into a room like this, but instead of Uncle Joe sitting here defending his name, why wouldn't Murphy try to make things right on his end so that Well, I'm neighbor to his building.
I talked to
I
Don
don't
pretty
see it
much
sit there
daily.
empty in another 5, 10 years when this finally gets righted. And I have an abandoned property because we took it back.
Yeah, ultimately, the ramifications, okay, of a court decision has yet to be defined.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they truly do.
Okay.
And it all depends how far the judge wants to go.
Again, I'm gonna try to spit this out. You all were like distressed about not serving our veterans, but yet Murphy is employing, be it under the table or whatever he's doing, and then there will be that outcome too, once he's finally caught. What is not on the books, okay? But he's employing ex-cons
Yes.
and
Yes.
pedophiles.
Yes.
Pedophiles. What about the borough doing?
People deserve a second chance,
Will not be allowed
but
to
not
be-
when you continue this behavior
How does
at
the,
all of us.
how does the borough accommodate their needs too, like that? They came to me and kicked me out of my alley for a month, saying that
And
they were
there's
gonna resurface the alley H, which was not slated on the list for the year. And they basically came in and put in a new water main for 430 Business Center, which is down behind my house, which is great. I have no problem with it, but why you gotta lie to me to make it happen?
Yeah.
Now my alley's tore up, it's destroyed, and it's in worse shape than it was before they started.
Is he allowed to be?
Borough will do that for the water company.
You know, one thing I just want to share, I haven't shared this publicly yet, but I'll share it here. Just so y'all, now that we're talking about the corruption, I figured when I started my candidacy, I wanted to show I could play the game. So I approached the Columbia Republican Committee to see if I could get their endorsement. We had our interviews at Hinkle's. I was a little concerned, but hey, I can play the game. So I walked in. First of all, the door opened. No one came to greet me to invite me into the interview. Leo said, "Come on in." So I went in and I sat down. And per the instructions I had been given, the first 5 minutes were mine. 2.5 minutes into my first 5 minutes to address them, there was no knock on the door. It simply opened. Don Murphy walked in, did not excuse himself, did not apologize for the interruption, did not look at me, simply looked at the committee and said, "Hey, I just wanted to make sure this was all good. We did a good job in here, didn't we? Did you need anything to eat, anything to drink? I can have something brought in for you." "Okay, thanks." No one on that committee apologized to me for the interruption of my time, but that made it very clear to me from the outset what was happening. And that's part of the reason why I have become increasingly passionate about my run. Because no one should feel that intimidation. I've known Don a long time. I went to school with Don. I was in Girl Scouts with Becky. For years, we were together. When I walked out of that room, neither one of them would look at me. Because they wanted me to feel that intimidation. And guess what? I don't.
That's good.
I don't. Come at me.
Thank you.
Come at me, bro.
Welcome to my world. I love it. I love it when it's still